TransAfrica Transport Infrastructure and Investment Expo aiming to bring together thought leaders and market players within the Africa transport industry to discuss topics of growth and development. And attending the expo is DCD Group, the 3 billion rand global leader in heavy engineering solutions, which today launched an innovation system for locomotives set to reduce operating and maintenance costs for rail operators and transform rail logistics. Group Managing Director Rob King joined us as we look at infrastructure challenges on the continent.
What a JICA system is, it's a passive hydraulic steer. And you're a bit too young for this, but I think some of the viewers will remember the old box cart. Can you remember the old box cart, how you used to steer it with a wire rope that pulls it in either direction? Now, a train operates on a very similar process, but is generally steered by the rail itself.
Right.
Now, those contact points are actually what causes quite a lot of wear on particularly the wheels of the train, but the rail itself, as well as energy usage. Now, you must imagine this concept that I'm describing of wires pulling it to get your direction right, and now you've got wheels front and back.
Right.
So the conventional system that's currently used is a system of linkages that allows the train to allows the wheels to turn. So the front ones will turn in this direction, the back ones will, and that's how you'll go around a curve. What we've been capable of doing, and this is a world first, is actually to do this hydraulically, which gives us, using a hydraulic, both positive and negative pressures, to actually steer the wheels. And we found, compared to the conventional system, we can extend the lifetime of a wheel by a factor of 3 times. We can also reduce energy by at least 3 to 5%, and then you've got to consider that that all impacts on the railway at the same time. So this is not just a first for Africa, but a first in the world. We've patented it worldwide.
Of course, it sounds like research and development is giving you the cutting edge over your competitors.
Because we've got a choice to make, and you know, when you talk about us as being a global leader, certainly if we had to compete on the real grunt stuff of our work, which is the hard work and welding as a core element of that, there's a lot of people that can do that. In the heavy engineering sector, not necessarily so. But if we want to compete, we have to start producing our own products, and we have to introduce them to the market. So we spend quite a lot of R&D. We patent about 3 to 5 products a year. And we aim to double that at least. We spend about between 1% and 2% of our turnover in terms of R&D.
Of course, Rob, also understanding that you have a multifaceted portfolio active in rail, in defense, in marine, mining and energy. From where you sit, we talk a lot about Africa's economic growth and a lot of this being predicated on infrastructure development programs. Where are you seeing the greatest opportunities? One from an industry point of view, but also which countries do you think are really fast off the mark in terms of getting good returns for those active in the space?
I'm going to give you a regional concept as opposed to countries directly. But we certainly see that the oil and gas sector, so if I take our marine business, certainly what we're doing on the West Coast and East Coast is of interest. West Coast, pretty well established, highly competitive.
Right.
We have an operation in Namibia that services that from a marine perspective. On the East Coast, it's those gas fields and potential oil finds. At the moment, you must understand there's about close to 90 drill ships and oil rigs operating off the West Coast. There's 4 operating off the East Coast. But we can see that doubling almost every year. So from an oil and gas perspective, that's where we see it. On rail, it's really driven by the commodities. And if you look at the West African environment, particularly the iron ore element of that, and then again, funny enough, East Africa and Mozambique with the coal deposits is where we see the opportunities, funny enough, both in rail as well as in our mining sector as operations.
Very quickly, Rob, because it does seem that I'm running out of time. I mean, we are seeing a very strong trend where we're seeing projects that surpass the borders of one country and are multi-country in their nature. As an active player on the ground, how are you navigating the regulatory frameworks of multiple countries and the policies of multiple countries? Does this drive for regional integration make taking a project to completion a little bit harder?
Well, I can't speak directly to the challenges of creating cross-country infrastructure, but I can speak to the fact that most countries are, like South Africa, trying to promote local business.
Right.
And in that instance, we have to partner in certain countries to do some of the work in the country. And we are finding that the financing objectives are actually quite challenging for those infrastructure builders.